Good evening, everybody. Hello, hello, good evening. Can I hear hello in response? Can I hear hi in response? Can I hear what's good in response? All right. I heard the swag. I heard it. It was very clear. Thank you. My name is Paige. Welcome to Poetry Africa 2019. Give yourselves a big round of applause for being here. I will be your host for tonight. Clearing light. It rhymes. Poetry. This is it. This is how we kick it in. Thank you so much for coming. The house is full. I think we're going to need more seats. So I hope that is being organized. And to everybody who is coming here and is outside, please come in. Let's make it even more full. Let's need more seats. We'll bring a carpet. We'll bring some nice pillows. People will sit on the floor. It's a picnic of poetry. It's beautiful. I hope you're enjoying the venue. Can you please give a big round of applause to the venue of KZNSA for hosting us today? Absolutely. For the very first time. For the very first time. We have a great show for you tonight. We have, hosted by myself, of course, we have the Black Sash. Can we hear it for the Black Sash? We have Efe Paul Azinho. Can we hear it for Efe Paul? We have Joe Francois. Can we hear it for him? Wait, Francois, Francis? Francois, I said it right. Yes, absolutely. We have Toby. Can you hear it for Toby? Amazing array of poets from all over the continent and all over the world. And it's a great night. But it doesn't just kick off like that. We kick it off with a great musical piece. I think that's your chairs. I think someone will sit on 3 legs of a chair. We should be fine. We're going to be starting off with our first act, which is a musical act. Can you please welcome a group of students, an all-female band from Howard campus in UKZN, and they will be playing multiple indigenous instruments. They will absolutely wow you. Please welcome Izmbeu Zaksasa.
Yes, Mansa.
Can I hear it one more time for him? Sasa, everybody! I think that's how you start the show. That's clearly how you start the show. I see some people are disappointed because some were in the crowd and they were getting their groove on. They were like, she must pick me. She must come to me. Does she not see this shoulder work? Sorry, guys. You should have just stood up where you were and just strut your stuff, okay? It would have been worth it. All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's a great opening, wasn't it? It's a great opening, wasn't it? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll be moving right along, and we're moving right along to a segment that I'm a big fan of, and it's something that I think the Poetry Africa needs to be applauded for, and that is this year they did a program whereby to involve or to include the local poetry scene more. They now have accepted prelude poets from poetry houses around Durban. So can you please give them a big round of applause for nodding, for acknowledging local poetry movements and what they've been doing for years, maybe even decades. So now, speaking of which, we have our final one for the week. This poet I'm about to call up here is Irene Mantri. Okay, everybody? She has a whole bio. I'll read it. Irene Mantri is a Durban-based poet whose writing has been published in the anthologies Drumbeats from Africa and Best New Poets of Africa 2018. With the courage to be unapologetically herself, she and her controversial poetry have been featured on Durban's East Coast radio. If there's more you want to hear, you will hear it from her. Please welcome Irene Mantri.
Together we offer our most humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our ultimate reality. Good evening to you, embodiments of love. My piece for today is entitled Conversations with God, Myself, and Irene, answering the eternal question of who am I? Going deeply in search of complete and absolute acceptance of me in my every reality. I am the everything and the nothing, the all and the one, the multiple and individual, the expansive and contractive, the big and small, the short and tall, the omega and the alpha. I am it all. For all that I am is but the sum of all, even good and bad, sane and mad, happy and sad, fake and real, logic and feel, doubting and certain, night and day, straight and gay, LGBTQ and T, black and white, wrong and right, loose and tight. For in the realm of infinite possibilities, this universe is a multiverse with parallel realities, and time is a constant now, where existence is a probability of unlimited possibility, the seed of the endless multiplied into infinity. Consciousness is expanding exponentially. The asleep are awakening. The dead are rising, the weak are strengthening, and the hurt are healing. Humanity is learning, changing, evolving, transforming. We may not see it, but we watch it unfold. With every word, every action, every thought, every feeling in our heart, we've been magnets attracting our reality from the start. But how easy to play the helpless victim, the poor me with no power to be anything I dreamed to be, the why me, the unhappy, the bitter, moaning, grumbling, and complaining. Stop! Tomorrow can be a new reality. So choose your thoughts wisely if you want change to see. Your choice is your reality. What are you consciously creating right now with your thoughts? Conceive, believe, achieve. Believe. She is a jealous God, this beating heart. Betray her and forfeit your joy in exchange for a life of pain and regret. The gray don't matter because life is a paradox, a serious influx of emotion and passion, pain and pleasure, love and hate. That's our fate. Turn the tide, and as the waves come crashing, you ride. Don't even try to hide. Life unveils and will reveal the truth you cannot conceal. All we can do is feel deeply, emotionally, passionately. The only way past is through. You can only be you, be true. Acceptance is to feel. And when we do, we will. Yes, we will heal. Surf's up. Are you ready? Are you ready to float in the pool of quantum reality? Dive in, deep dive, down the rabbit hole like Alice in Wonderland. And let's take time for a stroll. Change, to change myself, to transform. What is needed is for me to form a relentless pursuit of the truth, to uproot the issue from its root, to understand how we got there so we can find our way back here. These games we play, hide and seek, we remember to forget, forget to remember who we truly are. Why am I so afraid? Why am I so afraid of my nakedness? What's the worst you could do that I haven't already done first? Stop denying my hunger and my thirst. This flame of passion and desire spilling over. My heart can't contain. It's in the blood rushing through my veins. Yet I deny my creativity. That's insane. Yet insanity is the norm. We must conform. The crown is not yours to adorn, it belongs to another, and you're not worthy of such resplendent grandeur, my dear. You see, fear, it begs you to stick to what you know, so you can't grow. Because you see, that seed is boiled and hardened to the core. Nothing can grow when you're dead inside, living a zombie life, expending energy, trying to convince yourself that you're a huge success. That's funny. You mommy. The time has come where your joy will once again find you. And when you have her, never let her go. Not for all the diamonds and all the gold. Joy. And as I float in the quantum pool with delta ease, seemingly sailing seamlessly through unconsciousness to consciousness, unconsciousness to consciousness, unconsciousness to consciousness. What is this I see? Collective consciousness, self-consciousness, God consciousness, all unify as one unified field. The one without the second, where love is the only constant. Here, who am I? In every moment of every minute of every day of every life, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. I validate, reassure, try to allure, believe in me that I am, that I can, that I shall, that I will, that I must be enough, that I am enough. Whether mannered or rough, meek or tough, perfect or not, I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough to handle any situation I may with best intent be in. I will perform like a charm and so remain victorious, triumphant, humble, and grateful. I am grateful, I am grateful, I am grateful. I am timeless, youthful, joyful, fun. I am ageless, boundless, abundant, young. I am young, I am young, I am young. Every shade, every grade, every class, every type, unique beauty. I am beauty, I am beauty, I am beauty. I'm in control. I determine my role. I'm in the know. I make the show. What I think, what I do, what I know, and when I grow, I am in control. My response might give it back. The reflection in the mirror looking back, I am in control. And therefore, I am safe, valued, protected. I am worthy. I am grateful. I am honored. I am loved. I am worthy of everything I've ever received. I exist in this moment in perfection absolute. And here, taking all I have, and now I'm laying it at your feet. You have every failure, Lord. You have every victory. Oh, and you say I am loved, and I can't feel a thing. And you say I am strong, and I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short, and when I don't belong. Oh, you say I am yours, and I believe. Oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe, and I answer the eternal question: who am I? I am I. I am I. I am I. Thank you.
Let's hear it one more time for Irene, Mantri, everybody. That's a prelude poet, and that is how you prelude the poetry, everybody. So now we know what we're all about to get into. Is everybody warm enough? I need to feel the warmth. There we go, there we go. Thank you, everybody, thank you. You know, I'm hearing all these woos, and I haven't even heard a compliment for myself. I mean, I look like someone's favorite youth pastor. Nobody said anything. See the Okay, I see you're not impressed. What I'm trying to say is, on other days, I'm not like this, okay? So it's a big deal, is what I'm saying. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. This poetry is coming along great. We will have our first participant from Poetry Africa. And our first participant is the Black Sash, everybody. Okay. Order in the room. Order in the room. The Black Sash is a young poet, rapper, and student from Verulam around here in Durban, KZN. She is absolutely wonderful. Last year, she was the Poetry Africa Slam champion, and that is how she got here. I am sure you are all about to be blown away. Please welcome a good friend of mine and an even better poet, the Black Sash.
Hey guys. Hello. You all look so beautiful. My mom is here. It's an emotional night for me. 3 years ago, I preluded at Poetry Africa. And I had the privilege of coming back in 2017 to slam. I came back last year and slammed, and I won. And I'm back this year as a participant. I'm also a rapper. So if you would please allow me, I would like to say some things. So everybody here can clap and snap their fingers, right? So we're gonna do a classic boom, ch, boom, 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 ch. So it's one clap, one snap, okay? Let's try that. In the Garden of Eden, class in session, we eating how we line up at buffets just to keep this knowledge increasing. We was babies, now we're teething, we're picking what we believe in. If it's not the truth, then we don't follow suit, they call us heathens. There's layers to these secrets, they praying for all our demons. They got names and faces, all our replacements playing on speakers. Just skip the features, the greener pastures are peaking, and if faster, then after the bars will deliver healing. Spiritual being, my higher callings revealing. I probably do not observe all these blessings I've been receiving. Yet your people still speak when you shouldn't even be speaking. Yet your people still breathe when you shouldn't even be breathing. This is not the kind of verse that you tweet about or read about. I'm the kind of girl that you've been about or leave me out. This is the kind of track that could bring hip hop back, and the music never died. They forgot boom bap. My first poem for tonight is called 50 Shades Darker. The pigment of my skin says savage, says kill her and dump her in a plastic, because body bags are for those who can afford caskets and urns to burn their ashes. It is so expensive to die. My life is not worth a dime because of my skin. My skin is a sin. I am 10 strikes in the commandments, giving birth to many Adams and Eves, dropping at the serpent, serving Eve, the bad apple. The pigment of my skin says, please join the queue again. Says we have been following lines our entire lives, but still always the first to die. Says the last to see the promised land. The same land that they won't give back. How can they promise us something that they never had? The same land that carried blood like it does diamonds if we can find it. The pigment of my skin carries bruises and scars. Says they should have killed us all when they had the chance. Says shut up. What do you know about being black? My skin says survivor, says black doesn't crack or shatter. But I'm surprised how black lives only matter at the end of this poem when your soul is tattered. The pigment of my skin says, know your place. Says, we are monkeys who grew out of their cage and could not be tamed. If there's a beast in me, then it's the beast you made. Says, I am ashamed, embarrassed that I don't know who I am. Says, how will we ever to know where we come from when our history was written by a white man? Our side of the story was not important. It was never part of the plan. The pigment of my skin is the uncensored, unedited version of events, the missing evidence, the murder weapon they haven't found yet, the mysterious slipping to one's own death. The pigment of my skin is the voice you hear in your head when you're alone, is the incomplete poem, is the saved newspaper clippings they failed to destroy when they broke our homes and stole what was not theirs to keep. They thought that we would never see, but they forgot that we are gold. We don't shine, we gleam. The pigment of my skin is a bandage, the hard plaster, the whole package. The when you strike a rock when they told you not, this is what happens. Is watching a sex scene with your parents and being saved by an advert. There is nothing beautiful about the skin except its strength and its depth, its ability to stretch and bend, to bleed and carry the blood of those you love, to live, fight, and die, to be silent, don't make a sound, to be brown. The pigment of my skin says they cannot stand the fact that I am female and black. But I am a woman now, and 50 shades darker, so they can handle that. My next poem is called Raising Queens. It's about black women again, because I am a black woman. And I think I'm in the best position to document about black women. Nobody tells girls that their breasts will become mountains of truth that men will try to lie upon. They will crawl from the feet of your mountain to its peak like monks, looking for a God they were taught could not be seen. Yet we were staring them right in the eyes, unaware that between your thighs lies your divine right, a gold mine that only shines when you bring to it your light, a portal between the spiritual and physical life. Does that not make you a queen? Hips, anchors of hope that little boys will try to hold on to. When did we teach our men to be possessive over things that do not belong to them? We teach girls to be responsible because men are reckless, that the flesh will tempt them. Be God-like and forgive them, and they are granted repentance, casting out their demons with spells. I don't think holy water can save you from hell if you live in it, unless you are drinking it as an aid to swallow your pride and finish it. Tell them you are a queen. Tell them you first learned science, not in a classroom, but when your hair defied the laws of gravity. Tell them royalty you were born, that this hair cannot be relaxed or plaited or flattened because crowns don't fall. Tell them that this hair is the route to your throne, a compass guiding you home, that your black is beautiful, that it doesn't waver or bend, that your black doesn't crack. And if we keep reminding our girls that, I promise we can get the land back. Where else is a queen to reside other than with her pride? Somebody please tell these girls that those curves will become shapeshifters and whirlwinds, that those curves could slow down the earth when it is turning. Tell them they are roller coaster rides for adrenaline junkies, and the weak shall scream that this body can split the ocean and save the slave ships before they dock and leave. Tell them you are water, plain or sparkling, holding your heart from hardening. Tell them you are quench thirst, that Mother Nature must be a woman because a man can never inherit the earth. Tell them you are a cleanser, a healer, a magical being, only here in the flesh, because humans can only believe in things they can see. Tell them that this body is your Mecca, your monarch. That to stand in the presence of a woman is equivalent to standing with God. Tell them that this body is your temple. Leave your shoes at the door before you come in. Come pure. Dust your feet. Breathe. Somebody please tell these girls that we are raising queens. Ironically, my next poem is called Daddy's Little Girl. I was raised by my mother. I like my dad, he's cool. But I wrote him this anyway. My father is the personification of the phrase, absence makes the heart grow fonder. He taught me how to love and long for a ghost. Other dads taught their kids how to ride bikes. Mine taught me how to steal them. That life is a gamble, hence he loved the casino. That I will find the message in the bottle if I drown my sorrows and drink all the way to the bottom. That love is always subject to change, depending on how many figures your children make and whether or not your wife ages with grace. He always loved the finer things in life. As a child, I believed other kids on my street were better organized than mine, and at age 9, Daddy reinforced that belief by picking another family over my siblings and I did not cry. My mother did. My mother does. Says the only reason she allows him to visit us is because of us, but I do not recognize the stranger at the door. He says he's a tapestry of nostalgia and childhood memories. I say when we made family trees, I was the kid in class who didn't have a daddy to hang on its leaves. So how do you think that made me feel? And don't tell me about memories when you were never a part of them. And he asked me to pardon him. My fists are clenched. I want to show him my slit wrist so he sees that when he left, I bled. They say that home wreckers are those that come and steal, but the same should be said of men who come and leave. I think absent fathers teach their daughters to fall and plead at the feet of men who want nothing to do but leave. I have had this conversation with him many a times in my head, but every time I get a chance, I close my eyes and hold my breath. I am terrified that he will smell like all the men that left, all the men I had to beg. I am terrified that I will recognize him from photos where I've cut off his head to pretend he's dead, that I will have his nose, which will only be another reason for him to boast, other than the fact that his daughter writes poems, and I wonder if he's planning, waiting for me to blow up or show up on TV so he can cash in like, I've been her biggest supporter since she started rapping. Like he had a hand in molding the woman I now am, yet he missed the start of menstruation, never bought me a pad. You missed every single sports day. He was my first heartbreak. He taught me that a man will never change no matter how many times he says he can, Dad. Do you sometimes reminisce on your absence, your lack thereof? Is there even a bit of guilt that keeps you up at night? I hope every tear I have cried chokes you in your sleep. I hope you bleed when you hear this poem. I hope your ears screech when you hear my name. I am the daughter that you didn't raise. This family is the reality that you couldn't face. I hope when you hear this poem, it makes you suffocate with each line sharp enough to pierce your lungs. I hope you gasp for breath. I hope you wave for help. I hope you drown in this poem and you get lost at shore. This is not my book, but I am practicing for when I do get published. Before I move on to my last poem, I just want to thank... I'm so sorry, guys. I just want to thank Poetry Africa for the opportunity. It's been a great, long week, a very rewarding one. Thank you to all the guys that I've met. Man, these guys are so amazing. And I'm so grateful to have had the chance to share the stage with them at such a young age. This one is called the Depression Poem. I'm so sorry. I don't want to make anybody sad. But I think it's important for us to be aware. So this is for everybody suffering, recovering, and those that need to learn. Depression lives down the street in my best friend's bedroom. Depression can't sleep without her. She tries taking walks and leaving her at the gate, but depression is the greatest shapeshifter of this age. Overstays its welcome, has no sense of time and space. For depression to survive, the victim has to suffocate. She lives across the street in the slit wrists of a teen who believes her life's in vain, so she likes to watch it bleed. Depression body shames and blames and needs a front row seat to your anxiety for it to feel complete. Depression lives in the broken smiles of whole people. The my home is your home type people. I got a soul, but I am broke type people. And I swear, being depressed is like being possessed. Internally fighting demons, externally we pretend. Keeping up with the Joneses over the fence, pretending that the grass is greener on the other end while the garden is a mess. Corpse on the inside, praying for deliverance through the flesh, like wanting to smell all the roses while knowing that they're dead. She lives and hides in every poem I write. I have seen her try to creep and slide into my rhymes, but I won't let her have the satisfaction of stealing my shine. She lives life on the edge, one suicide at a time, and she comes at a cost of which many are prepared to pay the price. Depression is a prostitute. She's been with everyone I know. She foreplays with your fears and eats around your soul, gets naked with your thoughts because she needs to feel control. She will touch you in places you never thought could exist. Kiss on the navel of your pain and nibble on your slit wrist. She will grind on your imperfections and stroke on your feelings, mistaking anxiety for heavy breathing until you come. And depression probably knows me on a first name basis. My date of work, my sibling ages, knows the friends I came with by their faces, can quote my favorite poets by phrases. She knows. Depression knows I had to let this sink in like a basin. But the fact still remains that I am trapped in this cage. The cure doesn't come if we think factors won't change. Sometimes I lash out in rage. How am I evolving if my cracks still remain? Some take on multiple personalities so they can share the weight. So don't you ever say you have an illness to be relevant or because it suits you great. I would trade you my depression on any given day. My depression knows me like a favorite song or a full-time job. But God knows that my depression almost didn't let me write this poem. Thank you.
Ladies, gentlemen, folks in between, I think we should give it a big round of applause. A second round of applause, another round of applause to the Black Sash, everybody. Poetry Africa. This person was a prelude and slammed twice. The whole time you were like, nah, not. Maybe. I was sincerely touched and moved by the poetry, and I'm pretty sure everybody here was. So if you do not mind, another round of applause if you can. Moving right along, we are coming to our last poet for this interval before we have an interval little break. And that poet is Efe Paul Azinho. There we go. Efe is one of Nigeria's well-known performance artists and poets. In 2015, he co-founded West Africa's first international poetry festival, which is the Lagos International Poetry Festival, which he currently directs. He is also the director of poetry at the annual Lagos Book and Art Festival. In 2017, he was named as one of the most powerful people in the Nigerian art and culture space by Y Niger. I can't finish this, everybody. You are ready to have him on. I am ready to have him on. Let's have him on. Please welcome Efe Paul Azinho.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for coming out tonight. And thank you to Poetry Africa for having us here all the way from Nigeria. It's been really exciting couple of days, with the readings, the performances, the school visits, and just the community and sense of camaraderie with the rest of the poets who I've been honored to share this stage with. And I'm really grateful to Poetry Africa, really grateful to the city of Durban, beautiful, beautiful city. I've been to Joburg, I've been to Cape Town. I think Durban takes the cake for me. I'll be reading some poems from my collection for Broken Men Who Cross Often. There are a few copies outside. I'm a Nigerian man, I must sell my market first before I do anything. All right, now, let's read poems. We loved in 3 cities, danced in neon lights between stripper poles and the DJ. Unforgivable sin in the belly of an unforgiving beast. We crawled through traffic and sped through sheets. Argued the veracity of opinions on Twitter, somewhere between the Atlantic and no pants. We crossed bridges into the mainland and burnt inhibitions behind us, limb over limb, surrounded by Lagos, beautiful and angry, breaking and healing itself. We whispered secrets into each other's mouths, somewhere between a half-empty bottle of vodka and half-full dreams. You find a poem in my beard. I sing an ode to your laughter. Your phone, boombox and time machine opens a portal, takes us back to that city where we first kissed, somewhere between the government house and a microphone. You ditch your lover to come hear me sing songs of protest and love, surrounded by privilege and aspiration. In Abuja, where history struts mediocrity, a city haunted by the ghost of dreams and dreams and dreams. We wrap our dreams in a joint and mingle our hopes with its smoke. You and I, Sisyphus against destiny, an old-fashioned bohemian love story at war with reality. We loved in 3 cities, somewhere between the heavens and the earth. Upon an ancient rock in the city of an iron god, we conflate heaven and fire, succumbed to gravity and crashed back to the earth, where the roofs are rusty like history, and the people mask their struggles by wearing the sun on their faces. A city of poets and rebels, we rebel against spirits and flesh, hover in purgatory, because our love is death. Death if we see one more time, and death if we don't. We fucked in 3 cities and counting. All right. How are we doing? Now that I have the confession of my sin out of the way. Beckoned by grim and desperate voices, we traveled through the mud road silently. On arrival, we greet those who profit from debt and dried-eyed wailers as they usher us into the one-room shack where our mother died, facing the door, expecting. And we have come from the city's aspirational end to redeem the dust she left behind. She, from that tribe of women who traded sweat to buy us access into schools that promised a portion of the city where our desires lived. And our mother, she waited, expecting. We sent hope when money wasn't available to go. She sent back prayers, boasting to anyone who cared to know about her sons who went after the rainbow and are soon to return with pots of gold. But in the city we drank storms and rode them continually, leaving us too tired to reap the golden fruit of opportunity. They said the city grew. We hustled to the drumbeats of our mother's expectations, modern-day messiahs, bearing the cross of an entire lineage on our university-certified shoulders, charged with redemption. And the last time we spoke over the phone, it was Christmas. And all I had to my name were trousers bloated with shame. So I promised to come see her in the new year. A promise I remember now, standing here, eyes dry, heart soggy, scanning this 10x8 contraption that contains her scant remains. I can barely breathe, afraid to choke on the lingering expectations of her departed, longing spirit. I who have come from the city with my dreams, to redeem the only thing that's left. Thank you. And yesterday we ran. Thoughts flying in every direction like shrapnel, tables overturning, shattering flower verses, echoing our determination to remain in this land. 7,000 miles away from the desperation that drove us here, the desperation that stalks us still in this illusion. Yesterday we ran as they kicked down the door screaming, black motherfuckers, scumbags, Africans, monkeys. Today you return to your jungle. We ran. I bolted through the back door, flung myself down a flight of stairs and leaped under the stars, my feet etching my resolve into the concrete. I am not going back to Africa. Not today. Not until I bag a foreign passport that bears my name, knits my soul to a wrinkled skin. If I have to, you won't catch me today. You won't crack my skull against your prison bars. My journey doesn't end in your detention camps. No, you won't catch me today. Yesterday we ran. I dashed past the flower shop, the devil on my heels, and into the jewelry store, hell in my lungs. And there she stood, a frail, brown-skinned woman, frightened, puzzled, knowing. And just before my mind could unravel the mystery, her eyes held empathy, your trouble, she screamed, here, the African is in here. I ran, crashed into her show glass and ruptured my tendon. When will the running stop? I had no time to weigh a life on the run against the fact that I do have a home where my legality isn't in question, but I ran from it, ran into the space that demands that I keep running down the black alley, into the sewer. They won't find me here. 36 hours later, at peace with the surrounding darkness, I listened to my protesting stomach drinking in the stench around me. Yesterday we ran, and Chuma jumped through the window, 7-story down. What do I tell his wife back home? You see, justice has been kidnapped in my country and no one is willing to pay her ransom. She was absent at the tribunal when the verdicts was given, so the Marooders were declared winners, even though we know the votes were phantom. Chaos convulses the land. We're on the verge of catastrophe. The tranquility has been shattered. Somebody please call the police. Justice has been kidnapped in my country, and no one is willing to pay her ransom. But my friends call me naive. Poets that they are, the blaspheme, claiming the patriotic men in uniform are part of the conspiracy. Justice has been kidnapped in my country, and no one is willing to pay her ransom. Justice. When was she last seen? I can't remember. She was missing in the years of IBB when Delegiwa was blown to pieces. She was absent when Abacha reigned and Justice Auta hit the gavel. Sarawiwa was hung to hell with the critics. Justice has been missing in my country for so long. The Fourth Republic gave us a made-up version of her, but she was promiscuous and so wrong. Worst of all, she could see, distinguishing between foes and friends of the government walking through the hands of the EFCC. Which reminds me, Nuhu Ribadu was acclaimed her champion, that dispensation's faithful man, until Wiki leaked and we heard him sing like a canary, humming a different tune before the Americans. Justice has been missing since the First Republic, when Awo was thrown in prison for treason, since the soil in Oloibiri bled oil and the windfall from the boom accentuated our divisions. Believe now, justice has been lost since Nigeria was found. A friend said he saw her at the market lately where a pickpocket was mobbed and set ablaze. Maybe that was justice, but I'm still not sure, because I see sticky-fingered politicians and government officials roaming free, even on TV, sitting in the assemblies where they make laws. Justice, come home, we miss you. Justice, come back, we need you. Justice, we weep for you every day. Even the church can't remember what you look like, though for you they fast and pray. Activists, youths, blog, tweet, even march on the streets in protest for you, but I don't trust them, because while their leaders get rich and famous, I still don't see justice free among us. I wrote a poem for you, Justice, but I fear that's the best I'm willing to do. I guess I'm just as guilty, just as complicit as the politicians and the rest of civil society who speak like they love you but won't dare to bleed to see you freed. Justice has been kidnapped in my country, and for her freedom, we are not willing to pay the cost. But until she's found, we, my people, will remain lost. Justice has been kidnapped in my country, in your country, and nobody, not even you, not even me, is willing to pay her ransom. Thank you. I'm doing good, yeah? Buy my book outside. Just six copies available. Very cheap. This is not a political poem. It's a poem about life, about brothers, about sisters, about peace, about strife. This is not a political poem. I repeat, this is not a political poem. It's a poem that speaks about what we go through as a people. It's a poem that seeks to express the fact that all men were created equal. But some men have become more equal than others, so they loot and plunder, dip their bows into our collective purse, fill their bellies and shit on the rest of us. But this is not a political poem. It's a poem about life, about brothers, about sisters, about peace, about strife. It's a poem about outrageous, fictitious budgets and the legislators who approve them. It's a poem about power, the interest of the people, and the politicians who confuse them. It's a poem I wrote in the grips of emotion, a poem I hope will inspire my listeners to think. No, a poem I prayed would drive my listeners, the masses, to rage and mobilize them to march against men living in rocks, against unhallowed chambers where politicians meet, pretend to make laws, greet, eat, and pick their teeth with our collective destinies. But this is not a political poem. It's a revolution. It's the evolution of a people refusing to suffer and smile no more, of people determined to stand down the facade of a government and its sham democracy, of people willing to spill blood if need be. But this is not a political poem. It's a poem about life, about brothers, about sisters, about peace, about strife. But if peace will cost us truth and justice, then let it be known that I'd rather have strife, I'll rather wage war. These folks in the capital are not my brothers, not my sisters, and as for the bonds that bind us together, I trust it no more. So meet me outside of the show if you're ready to fight. Get my number, give me your call if you're sick of barking and now you're ready to bite. But if they come looking for me, asking about what I said here, sniffing around for treasonable felony, tell them I raved and I ranted, I sang and I chanted, but I did not recite a political poem, because this is not a political poem. It's a poem about life, about brothers, about sisters, about peace, about strife. And let our voices ring, soft and strong. A million rainbow thongs pushing our songs through the wind. Let our stories dance out in step with the moon. Let them boom from hamlets in Soweto. Rise through the sprawls of Cairo, straddle the contradictions of Lagos. Let them tell of sweat and fear, of backs bent to carry dreams too heavy for legs to bear, of old men whose visions of the future tie us to the past. Let our voices come accompanied by djembes, talking drums, and all that jazz. tears that our stories speak of sex, of probing tongues and grinding thighs against the Nairobi heat, of love that rises from the ashes of defeat in Kigali. Tapestries of our humanity woven into beautiful colors of difference and diversity. This is who we are. Children of histories punctuated by conferences, divided by white people in Berlin, defended by storytellers in Makerere, united by this struggle to be and prove that we are something more than the soft underbelly of a world perched on the edge of a knife, and time and again it is to these voices we turn. To remind us that we get past the pain, that we have once chiseled out beauty from mountains of self-doubt, and through the dark tunnels of despair, these stories will lead us out in Twi, in Swahili, in Zulu, whatever the languages of our imaginations, that our voices never stop ringing. Let our feet dance up spirits. Let our pens conjure the ancient wisdoms of the ancestors, excavate memories to find the civilizations we built before the barbarians barged through the doors, because we are a people too, a universe of multiple dreams written into history, written out of poverty, written to the laughter of thunder, written in lightning, written by a million rainbow voices that never stop ringing. And I'll dedicate my last poem for the night to all the wonderful poets who I've been privileged to spend the last couple of days with. Titi Lokwe Shonuga, brilliant poet, all the way from Nigeria. My dear friend. Basha Muneni, Toby Abiodun, Mo Africa. This is why I get into trouble now. I'm going to forget somebody. Joe Francois, Nadra Mabrouk, brilliant poet from Egypt. Black Sash, whom you've seen tonight. Luleka, the amazing Busi Siwe, who is going to be joining us in Lagos. I'm so excited about that. Thank you, wonderful bards, wonderful poets. If I skipped anybody, it wasn't intentional. This is for the storytellers. Yamishode, my brother, Niger brother from the UK. Yum. How could I? This is for the storytellers, watchers at the temple of language, those whose heads brush against the sun, whose hearts weave tales from our laughter and spin our sorrows into songs. This is for the dreamers who first spoke today's cliches, hunched over blank papers, staring into the empty pages of computer screens like crystal balls, waiting for the spirits to whisper. Those who have mostly found truth in sadness, breathing windows to the soul of the human condition. This is for those navigating silences, who need solitude to breathe, who refuse peace and quiet in the face of injustice, who chose gulags when the only option of freedom were in cities on the jackboot, those who smuggled out their truths on toilet paper and wrote back from exile, telling us there was a country, its dream aborted on the half of a yellow sun. Where would we be without the poets who showed us the path of thunder and unraveled the house of hunger? But weep not, child, the beautiful ones are not yet born. This is for the post-colonial pens, writing rainbows across the dark sky and eclipsing single stories. Those who pitch their voices against the noise, frame a new age with language, paint a better world for themselves and for us, giving nothing but alphabet. Pay no mind into the rumors, the stories are still alive. In books, in bits and bytes, in the conscience of a world dancing to the rhythm of its own delusions. This right here is for the tribe, for those who come out of their heads to drink at festivals, who still write to convince parents they can be something better than lawyers, who still write because the urge is stronger than death. This is for the last ones left, recipients of the torch, pouring sentences to keep the flame burning. Those who do this for something more than prizes, who write past rejection letters. As long as the universe holds, there will be stories to tell, and this is for the tellers, for the chosen and the few, for the tested and the true, for the howlers at the moon, for those gathered here tonight in this room, my tribe. This one is for you. Salute.
I'm sure we can hear it one more time for Efe Polazino. Oh, man. Oh, wow. I'm a poet, too, so it feels great to have a poem written about us. Thank you very much. We take it. Absolutely. That was beautiful. To those who haven't had poems written about them, to you, I pass this. A kiss, guys. Very sorry. Very sorry. This was a very good first half. Thank you for being a lovely audience so far. The next poet I'm about to introduce, he is a Haitian-born, Brooklyn-raised storyteller who wishes to share his vista as a black writer and tell stories of love, family, and race through that lens. He believes that the artist is the architect of humanity. His writing is a search for God, love, and community. His writing is an act of personal healing, as his ultimate goal is to do good work and little harm. Please welcome a man known by the name of Joe Francois.
We were liars. Even when we gave it all to God, we kept a secret or two. We learned not to talk about the things we lost, or how far away heaven was. My sister went to the hospital pregnant and returned with no baby. She called me. She told me to get rid of all of the sonograms. Her daughter went from dead to didn't happen. We were liars. My mother can make I love you sound like boy. Go get that belt. She can make an entire meal out of salt water and eviction notices. She could iron another woman out of her husband's shirt. She taught us that forgiveness is a good place to hide a scream. We were children. We learned to play next door while our house was bleeding. My mother was screaming loud enough to wrinkle the wedding photos. Love was the longest true or false question ever. Divorce was never a conversation we were in the right room to have. We were liars. I tried to ask my sister about the suicide notes in her diary. She said happy or hurt or heal, like happy hurts healing, or hurting happy heals, or healing happy hurts. My sister accidentally took too many Excedrin, but not enough at the same time. She wanted to make that night her last sleepless one. We were liars. We pretended that those were actually sleeping pills because we were too young for conversations about which colors we want worn at our funerals. We were liars. We waited for people to die to speak to them. My father put his wedding vows on a one-way flight, and his plane may as well have been a casket because we learned to bury all of the things that leave us loving him with our backs turned. See, we lied till we were old enough to drink, and we drink until it's funny enough to cry, and we cry until it's sad enough to forget that babies who are born crying leave their mothers breathless, but babies who are born breathless leave their mothers crying. My sister never talks about her daughter, and I am afraid that she will whisper her name into the ear of an oncoming train. I know now that prayer is a teardrop in a smoke-filled room, that babies die, that life is short no matter how much your eyes water it, because I have prayed and the heavens have erupted in laughter. I've called on God. I've called on God, and he has answered with the echo of an empty room, and silence is the closest that I feel to him. And some days I'm quiet. I am a welcome mat laid neatly outside of a collapsed church. I am a liar who let everything he went through just unhappen over time, who learned that the best way to tell the truth is to change the subject. Thank you. All of my poems are sad. That's just how it works. That's just how shit works. That's just what you're gonna get. It's not gonna be a time where we just have fun. I'm not that poet. That's not who y'all booked. Some more sad poems. I should probably say hi. Hey, how are y'all? It's kind of rude. I just came up here and told y'all a sad story. Okay, so here's another sad story. I'm not sure if my parents are happy. I haven't gotten around to asking. See, my father is a shovel sharpened by floodwaters and funeral songs, and my mother's tongue, it's autopsy sharp. She has a habit of bad-mouthing anyone who has gone too long, which is to say she throws dirt on them. And all of my grandparents were dead before I got a chance to meet them, and that is the only story ever told of them. I learned that life is burying all of the things that you have no use for. My parents share a bed the way that maggots and vultures share a meal, but when my sister died, they wore the skeletons from their closets. The pretty bones made them look like family again. Death was the only outfit they had that matched. It was a map that led them to a dirt patch called together. See, sometimes you have to sift beneath the ashes to find shiny things. See, sometimes the best way to find a needle in a haystack is to burn the haystack down. My mother has always been a horrible planter. Nothing she put in the soil ever grew. I heard that if you bury something and water it, it's supposed to grow. Growing up, she surrounded her children with flowers, from bed sheets to wallpaper and pillowcases. She buried it in onion once. See, it's how she mourned. But children, we mourn in wishful thinking like God doesn't kill babies, does he? And he's not gonna keep her dead forever. We learned that dandelions granted wishes, so we collected them, blowing them like the birthday candles my sister never lived long enough to whisper wishes into. See, prayer is a candle that you whisper wishes into. It is a melting wax figure that burned our childhood down like a haystack. And of course, God sifted through the ashes for our little needle. She was the only stitch that made us close like family, and he always reaps what he sows with. An open casket is no place for a childhood. At the funeral, we refused to believe that it was her until we saw the burn mark on her cheek. We learned to identify people by their scars. We learned that some things follow you into death, and that death follows you into some things. It was all a lie, because we buried her, watered her grave with our tears, and nothing grew from it. And maybe that's why my mother buried onions. I mean, who else would bury an onion other than someone trying desperately to avoid her tears? At the funeral, there were hordes of people who brought my mother flowers, almost to say, here, we heard you've been collecting dead things. My mother takes the flowers, surrounds her children with them. I'm not sure if she's feeling nostalgic or hiding us from God. My baby sister was born with permanently closed hands. They look like seashells, but none of us dared to admit that she may have been disabled instead. My mother tried to fix her, stuffing her hands with tissue, but she just couldn't open up. She cried herself to sleep every night. We learned how to drown out her tears so that we could sleep. She died soon after. We should have known that somebody born with permanent fists would end up fighting for her life. Maybe God kept her hands closed so we could never see how short her lifeline was. She actually threw up and drowned in it. None of us woke up to save her, so in a sense, the only thing we got to teach her was how to drown herself so that we could sleep. I spent my childhood bathing, holding my head underwater, either trying to drown out my sorrows or just trying to relate. And you say it's suicidal. I say blood is thicker than water torture. We spent the next 2 weeks with half of the house crying. The other half was trying to wake up from this nightmare. But how could our tears wake us up from this nightmare? We learned to drown them out so that we could sleep. If only we had listened to her hands, pressed our ears against those seashells, we may have heard the ocean that was coming for her. My family began to sink. We were all drowning. There were never enough lifeboats in this Dead Sea. These waves of emotions gave us bodies of water, and tears only added insult to seasickness. Our tears only added insult to seasickness. Everyone but my mother cried. Even at the funeral, I watched her becoming her daughter's hands, holding tissue, refusing to open up. We began to pile all her stuff away. It's not that we couldn't stand the sight of them. It's just that everything we touched made us cry, like we were the ones with no tomorrow. And my mother, she kept washing her clothes. It's not that she was crazy enough to think that the baby would grow into them. She just knew that she was this close to rinsing out the smell of tear gas in them. I will tell you that years of questioning a God who doesn't respond anyway will lead a family to some very shallow places, searching for answers like, how could God have a baby take her last breath before her first steps? Like, what is God on a long walk home when you try to convince yourself to pray to streetlights that seem to hang above like omens? They are always high enough for people to obey them. What if God is just a metaphor for if you hang something high enough, people will obey it? Does he ever take off his halo to scratch his head? What if God was just like us? We pray at night. What if he learned to drown out our tears so that he could sleep? What if he learned to do something for himself for once? We killed his son. Did he ever get to cry about it? What if my sister was just God's agent, sent to earth to pick something up for him? What if, when she got to heaven, he opened up her hands, pulled out the tissue, and finally wiped his tears? I usually like crack jokes to like ease the tension, but I'm not really in the mood, so y'all just get poems. Sorry. Y'all just get poems. So people have been requesting this poem, but I don't remember it. Like, not for nothing. And I really want this set to be good. So I'm not gonna gamble it on a poem I don't know. So what I will do is try to learn it for tomorrow. So come back. So I'll just do the poems that I can read. Reading is great. So I'm gonna do a couple more poems about, no, I think I'm just doing this one. And then I'm gonna do love poems. The love poems are also sad. I don't want y'all have any, don't have any hope. Don't have any hope in me, you know? Yeah, I know I look like 90s R&B, but that's not my spirit. I'm not here to do that. I'm a sad person, and you will be sad with me tonight. That's just it. So now I'm gonna read things because fuck it, poems. This one is called Hair Tie. In Haiti, mothers sprint so fast towards their children that their hearts beat them home. On this island, even mercy has a curfew. We know the exact number of bodies you have to bury before an entire country is a mass grave, and we know that the answer is different in English. Our first words, clay in our mother's hands, we catch them, mold them into a worship. We say mama before we say God, because we know who runs when we cry. We know who cries when we run. No one believed them when they said they could fly. They are still collecting feathers to prove it, apologizing to prove it, on bended knee, hair tied, planting a field of candles to prove it, willing to kiss a hurricane back to prove it. We aren't from a country. We are from wounds that fester into borders. The ocean does nothing but salt them. My mother is from a place where sleep and death really do share a grandmother. My father is every mistake a man could make while worshiping the wrong God. He doesn't recognize the man smiling with his wife in wedding photos. My mother is one of those women who was old before she was young. As she aged, her photos wrinkled with her. My favorite game is closing my eyes, imagining her small and dancing. She is always eating. An empty belly reminds her too much of the miscarriages she sings while she cooks. In the cracks of her voice, I see just how much money she has to send to Haiti for the funerals. She checks beneath her children's tongues for her country and her God. No sign, proof that your children are capable of betraying you in a language you never gave them. She prays alone and cries alone. She wastes all her good magic trying to get me home safely. Most days, I don't even come home. So 3 love poems and then I go. Cool? I don't make the rules, y'all. 20 minutes is 20 minutes. I'm not here to take up space. I'm just gonna do my set and go. This one is called 12 Hours. It was my best chance of capturing what the initial 12 hours after a breakup feel like. Y'all are miserable in this way with me. I can tell. All right, 1, if you must forget me, then forgive me first. I hope my last drink didn't wake you, but the last call knows your number even when my pride can't remember it too. I hope you searched for me and accidentally found God. I hope all your lies come true. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling. Your name is the only medicine I can take with whiskey 3. Another moon finds me in your bed and the morning after does not rewrite us. You were every random whisper that made me close-eyed and willing. If I say one more thing, it's that I'm sorry we didn't last as long as we said we would. But I hope that lie comes true too. 4. I know who you were really speaking to when you said I love you, and you must have known what I really meant when I said it back. 5. Resentment is the worst room to pray in. This feeling puts so much time on our hands, I wonder what kind of heartbreak made God immortal. 6. I've been good and wasteful. I've been stealing time, knee deep and don't forget me. And every memory is a mouthful. Sorry for the sake of sorry. If you love me, you'll say it back. If you really love me, you won't respond. 7. I never stopped loving you even when I started saying it to someone else. I don't know what siren led you to evacuate this heart like a burning city, but I know, like everything else that has lied in ruin, that laughter is the cheapest miracle. 8. I light a candle on your birthday to prove that passion kills everything that tries to hold on to it. Apologies are my softest kiss. I'm sorry. 9. I've made the mistake of making room for each ex-lover to stay even when they're gone. You can fill your heart with ghosts, but that is no way to reach occupancy. 10. I don't want the truth. I have no place for it. Not while the right lie could turn a mirror to a miracle. 11. As much as it doesn't fall from my lips, I remember your name, because tears are very lousy eviction notices. 12. A bed is every chapel made sacred by surrender, a place to lay and a place to pray, a finish line for famished hearts. 2 broken hearts are the wrong ingredients, but we made love anyway. Thank you. I really like this next poem, so I want y'all to fuck with it like a lot. Like just get ready to fuck with a poem. Even if you don't like it, just fuck with it, OD. The prettiest girl back home was Rochelle, but her daddy cleaned his gun by the window. Not her window, my window. He would eat chicken down to the gristle and spit the bones into a whiskey bottle and make a chapel. But between the bottles and the bones was an apology climbing into a prayer. A hymn held hostage between his lips, inviting the smoke of a woman he once knew, who could do no wrong, who did him wrong. She was a burning church dressed like a dance floor. She moved her hips like she borrowed shoes, and her knees kissed barbed wire just for her to get here. And every night, in remembrance of her, he holds a bottle by the neck long enough to find a pulse in it, and he is known as the town drunk. But he has just found a new way to catch the Holy Spirit. Don't you act like you ain't never seen a church shaped like a liquor cabinet before he drinks, until his stumble is a praise dance, until his stutter speaks in tongue. But Rochelle wasn't shaped nothing like her daddy's shadow on my porch. Nah, she wore the kind of dress small enough to clean a gun with. We slow dance close enough that every whisper is a sin, a melody with a ghost in it. I held her too close for her father to shoot. I held her too close for her father not to shoot. I'm dreaming her lips again. This is the one where her bed is a church pew and the pastor says, look at your neighbor and say praise. I admit, some nights I've drowned in a New Testament's worth of wine, woken up next to her and said amen. Because I believe in God, but never thought I could pray this close. You know what they say, that sleep is the cousin of prayer. So don't you go to bed with anyone you are afraid of worshiping. I am done with sin and sorrow. I know that if heaven had a window seat, it would be right above her ceiling, because she makes Sunday feel September long, and I haven't slept since. You said you don't believe in God, but you know that these demons are real. Because faith is less about who you want to believe in and more about who comes to visit. I've renamed time water and drowned in it. I've renamed whiskey time and spent all of it on you. I've renamed music whiskey and played the same bottle on repeat. I know that all I have don't amount to much, but one man's trash is another man's tithe. I don't know if we were meant to be the sky or just fall from it, but isn't gravity the deadliest sin? The last time you blew me a kiss, my heart shattered like a dandelion's. I fell in love with you between the shoulders of every love song in heaven. Is that love song on repeat? We can kiss until the band stops, until your father loads his gun, until the lights come on, until you're close enough to make eternity out of this moment. And don't we deserve that kind of scripture? Don't we deserve that kind of magic? Aren't these sheets better for the rapture than any Bible could ever be? Love is a game we played to keep from dying alone. Did we win? Did we win? Thank you. I'm not gonna lie to you, I tried this whole time to be like, can you remember this poem? You might wanna do it. I can't remember it, it's not gonna happen, sorry. So I'm gonna do this and just run off stage. Thank y'all, y'all have been amazing. I have 2 favors to ask, One that you just take a moment to really reflect on how amazing this has been. All of the performers have been incredible. The other favor I have to ask of you, make sure that F.A. Paul does not leave here with a single book. Buy all of those books. Make sure that that man leaves here with not a single book. Because his set was incredible, and his book is your way of taking it home with you. You can't pass that up. Come on. He cannot leave here with a single book. All right, this is the last poem. It ain't black love unless she's prayed for you. Unless she's had the bad dream about hearing the gun go off, but not your last word, so I promised her that I would leave them under her pillow and always come home. She was the only prayer I said without blinking, and we burned beautifully. Like candles in a church bombing, our bodies melting into honey and gasoline, spilling over one another. Making love until all the black ran from the eyes of mourning like mascara. She promised to save my tears in a butterfly case and tell her children they fell from the sky. See, I've approached her, eyes still echoing police sirens, and her heartbeat like tambourines in an earthquake, but isn't there music in that too? See, black love is just the slowest dance to funeral songs, and no matter how dark it gets, we find our heartbeats right where we left them, and we can sleep to that. Because we know that to be black and ready for love is to be ready for a funeral, and I do not know how to celebrate this black that has left me in pieces, but maybe I am not to love it, but to survive it. It ain't black love unless she shows you everyone that she has buried. Unless she is juggling corpses on her tongue like sunflower seeds. It ain't black love if she doesn't accidentally call you by another name, see you lying there and mistake you for one of them other boys that she has seen motionless. If I am gunned down while the moon is full, is that not still a love story? Isn't a black boy's casket just a box of chocolates surrounded by flowers? And isn't there a Valentine's Day in that too? I can't promise you that I will survive this execution, but I will not spill to the ground. Nah, I will fly, ripping into funeral confetti, burning like fireworks, writing your name across the sky. Is it raining bullets where you are too? I cannot die in the streets tonight. Not while there is someone waiting patiently at home to love me. I will not bleed until I get back to you, my love. I will stain your floors with melted rose petals. We can watch my life flash before my eyes together in my last breath. It's yours to keep. You could save it in a mason jar near the spices, but if you accidentally cook with it, it'll be the blackest thing you've ever tasted. So bury me in wedding bells and whisper vows as you walk down this aisle to meet me, and just know that you took my breath away long before they did.
I have to hear it again one more time for Joe Francois, everybody. I'm not emasculated. No, not at all. What? I'm comfortable. Can I please hear it one more time, everybody, for Joe Francois? It was absolutely amazing. I mean, isn't there so much to thank Poetry Africa for, so much to be grateful for, especially the poets, right? Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. We are going to have our final poet of the day. Absolutely. And our final poet of the day is our final poet of the festival. After this, all of them have had their nights. All of them have had their 20 minutes and have wowed you and have given you a piece of something and maybe taken some for themselves as well. And we are all better for it. And I'm pretty sure we all have enjoyed this joyous ride. And it's been an amazing thing. And we really got to give it up to CCA and the team that put it together and every other person involved in any single way. So please give it up for everybody involved in the process, everybody. Can I hear it? Thank you very much. Our final poet is Toby from Nigeria. Can you hear it? Absolutely. Now we'll have to remain in his seat and be shy while I read what's written about him. Toby is a poet and spoken word artist born and raised in Benin City. His poetry cuts across the personal, social, and political. Abiodun is a multiple slam champion, holding titles in major Nigerian cities including Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. His short story, They Said He Had Eyes Like the Burning End of a Cigarette, was longlisted for the Poets in Nigeria Prize for Short Fiction and published in the Order of Death anthology. His first poetry collection is scheduled to be released in 2020, and I'm sure we'll be all ready for it. Please welcome Toby!
The mic is high. Good evening, everyone. Durban is cold, but the poets are fire. So before I begin, I want to say a very big thank you to Poetry Africa and to Ife Paul Azino for bringing me along. I'm so grateful. This is my first time outside Nigeria. And it's been amazing. I've seen South Africans on TV, but now I know they're real. Like, they're good. Yeah, and you guys have been warm. Busisiwe, you've been amazing. More Africa, like a lot of persons, you guys have been good. So I'll just get right into the performance and we'll see how it goes. My introversion is loud, strong yet unsteady like rage. I am a safe space for the cold and the lonely night. Creator of the always alone, always trying to get it right. My introversion wants, never gets. Against the insanity that is this world, my introversion is self-defense. They say that I look too much like Tremor, with the innate ability to always hide behind metaphors. Most times I am light, other times I am dark, with a spirit that likes to rise but a body that stays grounded. My introversion is fixed like an ancestral curse, easy to cook like water, difficult to be undone. It stretches like race, like generations. It's contortive like rebirths and resurrections. Its effect is constant like memory and untouchable like time. My introversion is dead serious like I took my last breath without a smile. Most times I am unstable, always teetering on the thin lines between sad, confused, lonely, 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 yet I am content. Cause these swish mood swings birds poetry. Wordplays that gets the audience looking like photographers, they snapping fingers. My grandmother thinks that my introversion is some psychological disease. All my attempts to break free look to her like suicidal tendencies. She looks into my poetry for wounds so she can offer prayers of healing. And there I learn that it is possible for magicians to wave their wands and still not be able to produce magic. Talk about self-love, about support. My introversion teaches me to hold myself in trembling places, in places that understand the language of isolation. Tells me that it is okay to ask for help, but sometimes designer aids take too long. And yes, this loneliness sometimes is a war. It gets difficult and I get stuck, but I let it flow like a river song. Do not question my melody. I've got music for bones. I'm talking vertebrae and spinal cords. They say boys like me are difficult to love. True. My bones are collapsible. I cannot stop myself from falling towards the wrong people. Very open to opinions, true. But sometimes I am like a viral YouTube video. You must respect my views. My introversion calls me by my name and tells me, boy, write. Boy, write. Boy, write. Boy, write. And boy, I write. I write for all the places that the light refuses to touch. This poem right here is a blind spot. My introversion is both fuel and fire. I spit flames onto mic. This should remind you of the burning bush. Other performers best take off their shoes. This place This place has become holy ground. What's an introvert without hard work? I push harder than a woman in labor. So when the time is right, I can return all the favors. I am the closest you will get to touching the revolution. If you touch my body, you have touched the whole world. They say I am anti-Naira bet the way I go against the odds, meaning that my introversion is goddamn defiant. My teacher told me that my introversy is too good, like a double-crested Nike. With me, self-doubt and unbelief do not exist like the 31st of February. I am who and what the world is yet to discover, like a 13th planet. So when they make claims to being a mix of rhythm and depth, my introversion steps up to the plate and tells them that I am a mix of me and myself. Olúwa ṣàánú mi. Dear Lord, have mercy on me. Olúwa rántí mi. Dear Lord, remember me. Olúwa gbẹ́bẹ̀ mi. Dear Lord, hear my pleas. They say we have names like prayers that go unanswered, that we are pleas too light for lips yet too heavy to ascend. Bodies drifting in the distance between life and death. Hopes dangling forth and back like the rise and fall of angels. We know nothing but know this much. The lives aren't allowed here. So we learn to bury our breath underneath our pillows. Watch our dreams lay dead in our beds waiting to be resurrected. There are stars restless in our minds because our skies have no room for them. We wear misery like a second skin and never dare to peel it off. Every single thing that leaves our tongue sounds like a curse. When the world asks why we wear pessimism like a jalabia, we tell them, nobody lives well with death breathing into their ears. Then they tell us that we are ripe enough to take in all the world's chaos but are too young for love. That we are stories fit to be told only at night. In the morning we lose meaning to our children. When they ask why we wear misery like a second skin, we tell them, nobody lives well with death breathing into their ears. I should probably do a love poem. I suck at love poems, but I tried once and this is what came out. I must confess that I find it tough trying to write you into a perfect song. Maybe it's because what I feel for you isn't plain sheet music. It is complex. Like a violin, there are strings attached. So I keep writing, even in dreams, hoping I will wake up someday to find you perfect. I keep working, hoping that when I am done, people who listen will call you dope music like you were made in a Coke studio. And I promise to write about your high and lows. I promise to write about your eyes and nose. Promise to strike every chord and hit the right notes. Yes, you can leave the door to your heart closed. I'll come in with the right keys. I'll make symphonies from the trembling of your cheeks and melodies from your heartbeat. I will pause your pulse, stretch it to a crescendo so when the world listens to the pitch, they will want encores. Your sound will hold ears captive. They will call you a trap song. I will write my lyrics on your skin. Fill every verse with XX wordplay till your body begins to look like a porn site. Sometimes I stare at your being and what I see is a museum of artworks, nature's handwork, from eyes that present the past and mirror the future, to a hairline representing queens and their closures. Where they end is where you begin. You have eyelashes like flowers. My heart is the size of 1,000 vases. Your love has me rooted to a spot, but I see us going places. I call you the heat effect of God's spoken word, but find you too complete to pass for the product of a missing rib. I am staring at a poem written on your body, and I'm in love with the waistline. Your behind puts my exes behind. I feel you like a form there is a column you must sign. Sometimes I wish to be your bathroom door so you can always pull me close. Because this Adam and Eve kind of love gets the room looking like Eden. And baby, who needs clothes? Your absence leaves me feeling like a bankrupt company. At nights I fold. I am catching deep feelings like, how well do you love me? And the stats show you mean a lot to me. I feel wealthier than Abraham, because you are more than a lot to me. So back in Nigeria, I am known for political poems, and people think I'm an activist. Yeah, because we find ourselves in a place where we suffer. So most times we're always trying to be rebellious, trying to be revolutionary. And so this is what this poem is about. When the government decides to pull a blind eye to the killing of our children, we will not stay silent, we will fight. There will be no quiet moments, no peace walks or silent protest. Our frustrations will rise into a fury. We will sum our prayers into a feast. Our voices will be cocked shotguns, taking headshots. Our lips will be bayonets. There will be no white flag on our tongues. We will speak only of the revolution. There will be no reconciliation of histories or dates, for what does a calendar do but remind you that your days are numbered? We will fight, for we are tired of living in lack and want. We have become too poor a people, we can't even own our mistakes. When the government decides to pull a blind eye to the killing of our children, we will not stay silent. We will fight, for it is cowardice to live like all is well in a country where nothing ends well. Not even our poems. So I'll just do this last one. I wrote this poem. I was at work, and a friend called me, and she was crying over the phone. And I asked her what happened. She was like, our boyfriend asked her to leave, that he was no longer interested in the relationship. And they had been dating for like 3-4 years. And it was just like that. So I was sad. So I wrote a poem. That's what poets do. So you knew your first kiss for 1,096 days. Yeah. You knew him like he knew sex. Like the night knows light and dries in snow-clear skies. He drags himself across your cheeks like a wild smile. A hit and run. One that left skid marks on your heart. Sometimes you ask, what is it that he was after? The iciness of your lips or the tenderness of your breast? The chamfers of your hips or the chamber beneath them? 'Cause boys are like Judas, wanting all the silver and the kisses. Boys are like syringes, drawing from you what they never give. Boys are like surgeons. They tell you opening you up is the only way you can heal. Or Reva will tell you au revoir. Paul will show you the door after he spat his breath on your breast, after he's flung your hair over the floor, after he's pressed your hands against the wall. Boys are like dogs. Ray will ask you to stay, but he will leave. Others will give you faith when they do not even believe. So what do boys have to know? That a woman's love has no replacement. That when she leaves, you just cannot measure the displacement. What do boys know? That a heart wounded by silence cannot be healed. Even noises have no healing effect. What is it that you were told? The lionesses are never bold.
I think we can hear it one more time. One more time for Toby. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's been a fantastic night, hasn't it? How are people feeling? There we go. Do you want another 3 hours of poetry? I'm joking, of course. Please, I would like to thank everybody. I would like to thank the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Can you hear it for them? And the Center for Creative Arts. I would like to thank eThekwini Municipality the Department of Arts and Culture, the City of Durban, all the embassies that are aligned with this movement. Everybody, the UNESCO, Adams, Eagle Taxis, Wushwini, everybody, please, let's give a big round of applause to everybody, all of our partners who have helped to make this happen, who have helped to bring all of this here. And I would like to thank the venue, KZNSA. They've been amazing in hosting us. It's our first time here, but I'm pretty sure it was a fantastic experience that we will do all in our power to have again and to have better off. And we will pay for that glass, and it will be fantastic. It will be amazing, absolutely. So thank you, everybody. And the person I want to thank the most, or the people, are yourselves. Thank you for showing up time and again the whole week. And tonight, you are fantastic. Give yourself a round of applause, please. You have been a great audience.